Hey everyone, Mr. Keebler here. Just wanted to give you a quick look at the newly released Mayflash F500 Flat All-Buttons controller. And I haven't done a video in a very long time, so I just wanted to do something kind of non-scripted and casual. It's not meant to be a full-fledged review, it's really just my initial impressions. This is one of the few larger size leverless devices I've seen for under $100. This one was $89.99, and it supports traditional arcade buttons. So I figured this one was worth looking at, since a lot of the cheaper devices that have been coming out lately have all been different flat boxes. Real quick, some of the consoles and stuff that it's compatible with. Some of these things, like with PlayStation, you might need a converter or some kind of dongle, like a Magic Boots or maybe a Brook Wingman FGC. Some of these things are examples here. Especially for you, if you want to have it playable with PS5, you would need something like this. But it is compatible with a lot of different devices, whether it's through a dongle or in some cases being able to wire another or connect another wired pad to the device itself through a pass-through port. It's on the back side, which is how you get compatibility with things like Xbox Series X and such like that. The device itself, it does have 24 millimeter buttons, all except for this up button here, which is a regular 30. And then you also have two extra buttons, L3 and R3. Really just for if you want to have extra key binds and things like that for certain games. That's a really popular thing for Street Fighter right now. I did want to do a couple of quick size comparisons. So this one right here, you have this Granola Arcades. This one's the Summit model, a flat box design, kind of like I was talking about with the GP2040 CE firmware. Here we have a Snack Box Micro from Junk Food Arcades. And you can see these are a lot thinner as well. Something a bit more sizable, we have the Victrix FS12, also a lot more expensive. These are like $400 or so. This is one of the few larger devices as far as for retail though. It's available on Amazon. And finally, thought it'd be worth showing for people that are used to lever devices. This is a Mad Catz TE1, the round 2 variant. So we always kind of thought of this one as more of a Goldilocks, sort of just right sizing. It isn't too large, but at the same time, it's good for lap size play and whatnot. So if you've used one of these TEs before, you probably have a pretty good idea of the kind of a comparable size for the F500 Flat. Now, one other comparison I almost forgot to include was the HOTE 42T series. Specifically, this one is the T16, and you can see width-wise it's a little bit wider, and the HOTE 42 is very much thinner. And I actually have a foam pad on the bottom of mine, so this is actually thicker than it usually is. One thing I wanted to draw attention to is just the difference in width of these button layouts. This is partially due to the HOTE 42 having equal size buttons. I think they're all around 30 millimeters across the board, while the Mayflash uses a more traditional, for hitbox standards anyway, 24 millimeters along with a 30 millimeter jump. So with that, it kind of just turns this, I'm trying to line up these two left buttons here, it makes the spread come out to the point where these 7th and 8th buttons are almost an entire extra button width further to the right on a Mayflash. So if you were somebody that felt the 30 millimeter spread was a bit larger than you wanted and your hands were kind of having to jump around a lot to actually reach buttons, something like the Mayflash has might be better suited for you. And here is another kind of, I guess, aerial shot. I don't have a gimbal or anything to keep this shot still, but a little bit better view than the last shot I just showed you to kind of show the difference in button width from side to side. Okay, so next I wanted to show how to change the SOCD mode on this controller, or simultaneous opposing cardinal directions. Basically how the controller handles holding left and right at the same time or up and down at the same time. By default, this F500 Flat comes in what they call tournament mode, which is basically the CPT mode or Capcom Pro Tour standard mode, where left and right equals neutral and up and down equals neutral. Their instruction manual, though, does have a few different ones you can change. So I'm just going to show you one example of changing it. We're going to go to mode 3, what they call standard mode, which would be left plus right equals neutral and down plus up equals up. So it says to hold select and left for 3 to 5 seconds, and this little LED right here should turn blue and blink 3 times. So select and left. Okay, went blue and blink 3. So left and right does equal neutral, up and down should go up. Okay, cool. All right, so if we want to go back to tournament mode, for that it says to press and hold select and up for 3 to 5 seconds, and it should turn red and blink 3 times. So select and up. Okay, and neutral again, and neutral. Okay, so pretty easy to change out the SOCD modes on this controller. Okay, what I wanted to do next is just try out some different moves and motions during gameplay to see how these buttons feel. Dragon punch motion. And dive kick. Half circle back. Try the other side. And fireball moving forward. Yeah, it feels pretty good for the most part. I would say they feel a little bit more mushy than like a Samba button, but for the most part they respond pretty similarly. They kind of sound a little squeaky during gameplay, but nothing that actually affects anything for the most part, so... I'm able to do what I want to do for the most part with these buttons. Okay, and just for another execution example, I figured we'd show a little bit of KO F15. Just a disclaimer, I'm not very good at this game, but I did use it to initially learn leverless just because there's so many half circle motions, quarter circles into half circles, and you have the hops and everything, and you can still do all this with the Mayflash stock button, so I'll give it a try here. There you go. Yeah, so like I said before, they feel a little bit more mushy compared to like a Samba button, but for the most part they feel pretty similar, and they're not really holding me back from an execution standpoint to what I could already do like on a Samba button. Okay, so one other thing I wanted to highlight is since Mayflash gave you some extra buttons to play with here, L3 and R3, they can help you beyond just having extra buttons to use during gameplay. You can also use them for training mode for shortcuts. So one example I gave, or I'm going to give you actually, is just I'm going to do some perfect parry training here, and I'm going to put JP on basically a replay to keep doing a cross-up on me, and I want to just perfect parry him, and I'm going to use holding L3 and then pressing R3 to reload a save state after every time he's done, so that way I'm not having to reset positions or go back into a pause menu, and it's going to make my training a lot faster. So let me turn this on real quick. You can kind of see if you're able to practice a lot faster just with save states and things like that. And these are things you can do with a normal controller, normal set of 8 buttons. But just the fact that I have them so close by, like usually L3 and R3 are like auxiliary buttons way up at the top, here maybe on the side. The fact that they're right here next to your thumbs, it just lets me use this extra functionality a lot faster. So something like, you know, perfect parry practice, or if you're practicing a safe jump, maybe a certain super or a combo, all that stuff you can do a lot more efficiently. And I think these buttons are a nice quality of life improvement, along with the being able to map extra button binds and things like that during a match. Alright, so I think we're at the end of the impressions video for this Mayflash F500 Flat All-Buttons controller. So my thoughts so far, you know, I like it a lot. For $89.99, I think it's a really good value, and it's one of the few that are under $100 US dollars. That is a larger size device. You know, it's not like a flat box, and that uses traditional arcade style buttons, you know, 24mm with a 30mm jump button. Good overall size and weight, good overall build. It's pretty versatile, compatible with dongles. I think it's a really good one to try. Now, I will say, regarding the buttons, you know, the stock buttons, my prior experiences with generic buttons or clone buttons, whatever you want to call them, is that they don't last as long as Sanwas or Smitsus and things like that. Now, hopefully the gameplay demonstration showed you that they are usable. You know, I didn't feel like they were really getting in the way of my execution, and I'm not even a big leverless player, and I was still able to do what I wanted when I wanted. Now, I could see you having to replace them down the road, though, you know, just like any other button. Now, when that time comes, though, whether it's for durability reasons or maybe you just want to swap different colors, because we're using standard size buttons, it's going to be an easy swap for you. So I definitely think this is a device worth checking out. Now, aside from that, though, I do appreciate you watching the video. If you have any thoughts of your own, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'm kind of interested to see what other people think about this device when they start getting their hands on it on their own, because this just went up, and I know a lot of people were ordering off Amazon at the same time. So feel free to contribute to the conversation, and I hope you enjoy the device if you do happen to pick it up. But again, thanks for watching, and take care.